All right, let's dive in. Today we're going to unlock a really powerful method for leveling up your English. And the secret is learning through a subject you already love. For our case study, we're jumping into the fascinating world of psychology.
Have you ever felt like you've hit a plateau with your English? You know, you've got the basics down, but you want to sound more natural, more knowledgeable, especially when you're talking about something you're really passionate about. Yeah, bridging that gap between classroom English and real-world, specialized language is a huge hurdle, but it's one we're going to clear today.
And that really is the core challenge, isn't it? It doesn't matter if it's psychology or tech or art. Every single field has its own specific vocabulary, its own jargon, and its own unique way of putting things. And just listening to it, well, that's not always enough to make it stick. You need a strategy.
So, how do we do it? Simple. We're going to treat authentic content like our own personal classroom. For this explainer, we're diving deep into an episode from the psychology podcast, Decoding Minds. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to turn passive listening into an active learning session that will seriously boost your vocabulary and your fluency.
Okay, so the very first step, and you do this before you even hit play, is to analyze the title. Seriously. A good title is basically a roadmap. It tells you exactly what to expect, and it helps you start predicting the kind of language you're about to hear.
The title of the episode we're using is Psychology in Daily Life, from morning till night. Right off the bat, this gives us a brilliant structure. We know the topic is practical psychology, right? And the timeline is a single day. So this helps us frame our expectations and get our minds ready.
And check this out. The podcast host confirms it perfectly. The episode is a journey through a day, but viewed through a psychological lens. Now that is our cue. It tells us we need to be listening for psychology terms that are applied to everyday situations, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed.
And now for the really fun part, vocabulary hunting. As you're listening, your mission is to pinpoint the key technical terms the experts are using. These are the words that are going to elevate your understanding and your ability to really discuss the topic like you know your stuff. Let's look at a few from the podcast.
First up, from the morning segment, we get sleep inertia. Oh, we have all felt this. It's that sluggish, kind of foggy feeling when you first wake up where your brain hasn't quite caught up with your body yet. So instead of just saying, I'm groggy, you can now use a precise psychological term. Pretty cool, right?
And listen to how the host uses it in context, because this is so important. She calls it the feeling as your brain transitions from sleep to full wakefulness. Hearing these natural phrases is exactly how you learn not just what the word means, but how to actually use it in a sentence.
Next up, the podcast gets into this really powerful mental trap, the self-fulfilling prophecy. You've probably heard of this. It's the whole idea that if you wake up thinking, today is going to be a terrible day, your own expectations can actually shape your actions to make that come true. It's a fascinating and kind of scary concept.
You know that feeling in the afternoon where you just hit a wall, where your brain feels like total mush? Well, the podcast gives us the perfect term for it, cognitive fatigue. See, it's not just about being tired. It's a specific kind of mental exhaustion that comes from hours of focus and making decisions.
And finally, for the end of the day, the podcast talks about a challenge that so many of us face at night: rumination. It is the perfect word for when your brain just refuses to switch off and you're stuck replaying the day's worries over and over and over again.
And I absolutely love this analogy from the source. The speaker calls rumination a cognitive hamster wheel. This kind of vivid, memorable phrase is pure gold for a language learner. It doesn't just define the term, it gives you this powerful image that helps it stick in your brain.
So here's a crucial point. It is not just about the technical terms. Content like this, podcasts, interviews, it's also packed with informal phrases, idioms, and analogies that native speakers use all the time. Nailing these down is the key to sounding way more natural. This is where the language gets really rich and colorful. The podcast was full of these great phrases, like navigating tricky waters, or that cognitive hamster wheel we just talked about. And of course, the all-too-familiar afternoon slump, and my personal favorite, my brain feels like mush. These are the kinds of expressions that make your English just flow.
Okay, so how do we pull all of this together into a system you can actually use? Let's bundle everything we just did into a simple 5-step toolkit that you can apply to any podcast, video, or article to totally supercharge your learning.
So here it is, the whole method. Step 1, and this is non-negotiable. Find content you genuinely love. Then, just like we did, you deconstruct the title to get your bearings. After that, you go on the hunt for both those key technical terms and those colorful, natural phrases. But honestly, the last step is the most important one. You have to practice and apply it. Use the new language, explain it to a friend, do something to make it your own.
And that right there is the real magic of this. This whole approach transforms you from just being a passive listener into an active learner. You're not just letting the words wash over you anymore. You're engaging with them, you're deconstructing them, and you're absorbing the language in a way that's so much deeper and more meaningful.
So, really, the only question left is, what topic are you passionate about? Whether it's history or coding or marine biology, you can use this exact same method to not only learn more about your interests, but to take your English skills to a completely new level. So, what subject will you master next?